You believe danger always announces itself with a snarl, a threat you can plainly see and hear. Carl Jung, who charted the labyrinthine depths of the human psyche, knew that the most profound perils are often silent, invisible, lurking beneath the most charming or unassuming facades. What if there are 6 distinct, shadowed archetypes walking among us, their influence capable of subtly derailing your spirit, your very life's trajectory, often without your conscious mind ever registering the attack? To not see them is to unknowingly invite your own psychic undoing. We navigate our days with a fragile map of conscious understanding, believing we know the terrain of human interaction, trusting the surfaces presented. But Jung revealed a vast, turbulent unconscious that drives the vessel of our lives, and within that ocean, monsters dwell, not only within others, but also reflected in the murky waters of our own hidden selves. What if these dangerous types are not merely ill-intentioned individuals, but unwitting conduits for ancient, powerful psychic forces, their actions, the outward ripples of deep, unseen storms? Imagine these 6 patterns of behavior, these recurring human dramas, not simply as personality flaws, but as the modern expressions of archetypal shadows that have haunted humanity for millennia. They are the subtle poisoners of the soul, the silent thieves of psychic energy, the weavers of intricate illusions that can bind you before you even sense the silken threads. To recognize them is not merely a matter of social skill, it is a crucial act of psychic self-preservation. For your very individuation, your journey towards wholeness may hang in the balance. How do these figures exert such a devastating influence, often effortlessly, you might wonder? It is through the unseen commerce of the psyche, through insidious projections that make you doubt your own reality, through a psychic contagion that mires you in their negativity, through a draining of your vital life force that leaves you hollowed out and confused. They may be unconsciously projecting their own unlived lives, their own terrifying shadows onto you, making you the unwilling bearer of their psychic burdens, a truth Jung understood with profound clarity. And here lies a deeper, more unsettling question. What within you resonates with their particular brand of shadow? Why are you, perhaps, unknowingly susceptible to their specific song, their peculiar form of psychic encroachment? Jung taught that the outer world is often a mirror of the inner. To truly avoid these dangerous types, then, is not just about identifying them out there, but about a courageous descent into your own unconscious, to understand the hooks within your own soul that they might so easily catch upon. The cost of such psychic blindness is immeasurable, far beyond any material loss. It is the slow erosion of your authentic self, the derailment of your destiny, the surrender of your spirit to forces that seek not your growth, but your stagnation, your diminishment. When Jung spoke of threats to life, he understood life not just as physical breath, but as the vibrant, unfolding journey of the soul towards its own unique completion. To remain oblivious to these 6 shadowed paths is to risk that sacred journey becoming a barren wasteland. Yet in this very understanding lies the seed of a profound alchemy. For Jung believed that confronting the shadow, both within and without, is the key to unlocking immense psychic energy, to transmuting potential danger into profound awareness. To learn to recognize these 6 types is not merely to erect defenses, but to embark on a deeper path of self-knowledge, transforming your own psyche into a vessel so clear, so whole, that their particular darkness can find no purchase, no reflection. Before we illuminate these 6 distinct archetypes of peril, these shadowed figures who walk among us and unveil the profound yet surprisingly effortless ways to navigate their influence as if shielded by an invisible light, pause for a moment. Listen to that quiet, often ignored voice of your deepest intuition. Have you ever felt an inexplicable draining in another's presence, a subtle twisting of your perception, a sense of your own light dimming? Share that intuitive whisper, that gut feeling, in the comments below. For your soul often recognizes the unseen psychic currents long before your conscious mind dares to name them. The surface of your life, the one you consciously navigate, is but a thin crust over a vast, seething ocean of the unconscious, a truth Carl Jung dedicated his life to exploring. It is from these depths, often unseen and unacknowledged, that the truly dangerous currents emerge, embodied in certain types of people whose influence can subtly warp your reality, drain your spirit, and divert your soul from its intended course. You have felt their presence, haven't you? That inexplicable shift in the atmosphere, a psychic chill, a feeling of being subtly diminished or strangely agitated, long before your rational mind could name the source. These are the first whispers from the deep. We are taught to assess danger through overt signals, the loud threat, the visible weapon. Yet Jung knew that the most insidious perils are psychic, weaving their way into your inner world through unguarded pathways. These 6 dangerous types are not always villains in the theatrical sense. Often they are masters of disguise, their toxicity cloaked in charm, concern, or even an apparent helplessness that hooks your compassion only to exploit it. Can you recall a time when your intuition screamed a warning about someone, even as your logical mind found no fault, only to later discover the profound wisdom in that initial, unsettling sense? This journey into recognition is not merely about labeling others, but about understanding the profound, often invisible, psychic interchanges that occur between souls. It is about perceiving the hidden dramas playing out beneath the veneer of everyday interaction, dramas fueled by unconscious complexes, projected shadows, and archetypal energies that can either illuminate or utterly consume. The air around these individuals often feels different, charged with an unspoken tension, a subtle distortion. Have you learned to trust that feeling? Or do you dismiss it as mere imagination, only to pay the price later? To embark on this exploration with Jung as our guide is to agree to look beyond the comfortable illusions, to peer into the shadowed corners of human nature, and crucially, into our own. For the power these dangerous types wield often finds its purchase in our own unexamined wounds, our own unacknowledged shadows. This is not a path for the faint of heart, but for those who understand that true safety, true effortless avoidance, begins not with outer defenses, but with profound inner sight, a seeing that transforms the very landscape of your psychic reality. What then constitutes the essence of these 6 shadowed figures? These perils Jung might have identified not by simple labels, but by the archetypal energies they unleash and the psychic disturbances they create. Imagine them as vortices, drawing light and energy into their own unilluminated centers. One might be the figure consumed by their own unlived life, projecting their bitter disappointments and ravenous needs onto you, making you unconsciously carry the weight of their failures. You feel inexplicably burdened, their psychic hunger a constant, silent demand. Another might embody the destructive aspect of the trickster, weaving chaos with a disarming smile, shattering certainties, and leaving you questioning your own sanity through subtle gaslighting and the constant shifting of realities. Their words are quicksilver, their promises mirages, and in their presence, the ground beneath your feet feels perpetually unstable. Or consider the one who, inflated by an unearned grandiosity, seeks to dominate every psychic space, their pronouncements absolute, their need for admiration a bottomless pit, leaving no room for your own breath, your own being. The danger often lies in the insidious nature of their influence, a psychic contagion that seeps into your awareness almost unnoticed. You might find your own thoughts taking on a darker hue, your optimism dimming, your energy inexplicably sapped after even brief encounters. This is not mere moodiness. It is the psychic signature of an encounter with a will that is, at its core, antithetical to your own healthy striving. They may unconsciously cast their vast, unintegrated shadow upon you, making you feel the very darkness they refuse to acknowledge within themselves. a heavy cloak of guilt, shame, or inadequacy that is not yours to wear. And then there are those who subtly deflate, who chip away at your confidence with faint praise or veiled criticisms, who seem to engender a sense of smallness or incompetence within you. Their own deeply buried insecurities become a quiet acid, eating away at your self-worth. These are not always overt attacks, but a slow, steady erosion of your psychic strength. Jung understood that the psyche is a delicate ecosystem, and these types are akin to invasive species, disrupting its balance, poisoning its waters, often without ever declaring open war. Now, we must turn the mirror inward, for as Jung wisely taught, what is unconscious within us often draws its counterpart from the outer world. Why do these dangerous types find such fertile ground in our lives? Why do we, at times, feel an almost magnetic, if perilous, pull towards their specific brand of shadow? Could it be that our own unacknowledged wounds, our own dormant complexes, act as unconscious beacons, signaling our vulnerability to their particular form of psychic intrusion? Perhaps a deep-seated need for approval, born from early hurts, makes you susceptible to the charmer whose flattery is merely a tool for exploitation. Or maybe an unhealed inner child, still craving rescue, is drawn to the figure who offers a false promise of strength and protection, only to later dominate and control. Our own unintegrated shadow, those aspects of ourselves we deny or repress, can also find a strange resonance with the darkness in another, leading to entanglements that feel both compelling and deeply destructive. Do you recognize any such echoes within your own history, patterns that repeat with an almost fated quality? The desire for connection is a fundamental human need, yet when it is unmoored from self-knowledge, it can lead us into treacherous waters. We may ignore the subtle red flags, the intuitive nudges from our deeper self, because the conscious mind craves companionship, acceptance, or simply an end to loneliness. This very yearning, if not balanced by discernment, can become the hook upon which the dangerous type hangs their lure. The paradox is that the unconscious often seeks wholeness, and sometimes these painful encounters, if we can survive them with awareness, force us to confront the very parts of ourselves that require healing and integration. It is a delicate dance, this interplay between our inner landscape and the figures who populate our outer world. The feeling of being controlled, manipulated, or diminished by another is agonizing, yet it can also serve as a harsh but potent catalyst, prompting us to ask, what part of me allowed this? What unlit corner of my own psyche provided entry? This is not about self-blame, but about radical self-responsibility, the kind Jung advocated as essential for the arduous yet profoundly rewarding journey of individuation. The consequences of prolonged unconscious entanglement with these 6 dangerous types are rarely confined to fleeting moments of discomfort. They etch themselves deeply into the fabric of the soul, often derailing the sacred journey of individuation. Imagine your life's path as a river flowing towards the ocean of your fullest potential. These figures act as hidden dams, diverting your flow, or as pollutants, clouding your waters, until the true destination becomes obscured, perhaps even forgotten. The loss is not just of peace, but of purpose. There is an erosion of self that occurs, a subtle blurring of your own psychic boundaries until it becomes difficult to discern where you end and their often overwhelming influence begins. Your thoughts may feel less like your own, your emotions more reactive, your sense of identity unmoored, adrift in the turbulent currents of their psychic needs. This is the insidious theft of your autonomy, the quiet colonization of your inner world, leaving you a stranger in your own psychic home. Does this resonate with a past experience, a time when you felt your very essence being subtly reshaped by another? These encounters can inflict deep psychic wounds, a shattered trust in others, certainly, but more devastatingly, a shattered trust in your own perceptions, your own worth. You may find yourself questioning your sanity, your ability to judge character, your right to your own feelings. The psychic venom, administered slowly, can lead to a chronic state of anxiety, depression, or a pervasive sense of shame that clings like a shroud. This is the dark night of the soul, not as a path to illumination, but as a descent into a bewildered, isolating darkness, orchestrated by an external, often unconscious malevolence, and the ultimate cost. It is the dimming of your own unique light, the stifling of your authentic voice, the betrayal of your soul's deepest calling. Jung understood that each individual carries within them a spark of the divine, a unique pattern seeking expression. To be ensnared by these dangerous types is to risk that spark being smothered, that pattern being distorted beyond recognition. The life that depends on it is not merely your physical survival, but the survival of your true, irreplaceable self, the self that is yearning to become whole. Yet within this daunting exploration of psychic peril lies the very key to its effortless avoidance, an avoidance born not of barricades, but of a profound inner alchemy, as Jung might have termed it. The journey towards recognizing and neutralizing these 6 dangerous types is, at its core, the journey of individuation itself, the courageous and ongoing work of knowing thyself, in all your light and all your shadow. For it is from this deep well of self-awareness that true discernment flows, effortlessly and naturally. The primary shield is not a list of external tactics, but the unwavering light of your own consciousness. As you become more familiar with your own unconscious complexes, your own shadow aspects, your own projections, you begin to develop an almost intuitive radar for these same dynamics in others. You recognize the subtle, energetic signature of manipulation, of psychic vampirism, of projected darkness, because you have first dared to confront these forces within your own being. The hooks they cast find no purchase, for the places they might have lodged are now illuminated, understood, and integrated. This effortless avoidance, then, is the natural outcome of a strengthened ego-self-axis, a robust connection to your authentic core, your guiding center. When you are firmly rooted in your own truth, your own worth, the psychic winds generated by these dangerous types may still blow, but they no longer have the power to uproot you or sway you from your path. Your intuition, honed by self-reflection and a willingness to heed its subtle whispers, becomes your most reliable guide, signaling danger long before it manifests in overt action. Does this not feel like a more profound, more intrinsic form of safety? Therefore, the path to eluding these shadowed figures is not about meticulously studying their every trait, but about diligently cultivating your own inner garden, uprooting the weeds of self-deception and nurturing the blossoms of self-knowledge. As you bring more of your own unconscious into the light, as you integrate the disparate parts of your psyche, you naturally become less resonant with, less attractive to, those who thrive in darkness and prey on fragmentation. You begin to radiate a wholeness, a clarity that acts as its own silent, powerful, and effortless guardian. And so, the echoes of our journey into the psyche's hidden landscapes, guided by the wisdom of Carl Jung, begin to settle, not as a final word, but as a lingering resonance within your own deep awareness. The shadows of those 6 dangerous types, once perhaps unseen or merely intuited, now stand in clearer relief, not as mere external threats, but as manifestations of profound psychic patterns that we encounter both in the world and, at times, reflected within ourselves. You may find you now listen with a different ear, see with a more perceptive inner eye. This unveiling is not intended to breed fear, but to empower a quiet, discerning foresight. The effortless avoidance we have spoken of is not a trick of social maneuvering, but the natural radiance of a soul becoming more whole, more conscious of its own light and its own shadows. It is the calm assurance that arises when your intuition, honed by self-reflection, becomes a trusted compass, guiding you away from psychic snares and towards connections that nurture your deepest self. Let this truth be an anchor in the sometimes turbulent waters of human experience. The most impenetrable fortress against the soul's assailants is a conscious heart. For what is truly known and integrated within cannot be easily undone or overwhelmed from without. The journey of individuation, of becoming authentically yourself, is itself the most potent protection, the truest form of psychic self-defense. This path of self-discovery, of recognizing the archetypal dramas that play out in our lives, is ever unfolding. The world, with its myriad souls and their complex inner worlds, remains. Yet you now carry a deeper understanding, a more refined perception, enabling you to navigate these encounters not with naive trust or hardened cynicism, but with a compassionate wisdom that safeguards your own vital essence. The work of knowing oneself is the truest way to cultivate that effortless grace in the face of life's psychic complexities. If these explorations into the depths of the human spirit, inspired by Jung, have awakened something within you, a stirring of recognition or a call to deeper self-understanding, then this dialogue does not end here. Subscribe and continue this voyage with us toward greater consciousness. Share in the comments below what resonated most deeply, what intuitive whispers this journey has affirmed within you. And if you feel this light of awareness could benefit others navigating their own paths, share this exploration. For in illuminating the way for each other, we all walk towards a greater, more collective wholeness.